It is the 9 o'clock news, local edition on Rock 93.7, and this week I am sitting down in studio with, well, I won't say you're a local legend, but you kind of border on you've been playing in Cookeville for how long? 4 decades.
40 years.
Got about 4 decades under your belt.
Yes.
Kenny Qualls is in with me tonight, and Kenny, you've got a band that you've had for, well, about that length of time.
37 years this year, Rapture.
And Rapture has played a lot.
10,000 shows.
You have played from, tell me some of the biggest names that you've played with.
Oh, we played with Mountain.
Now, was that with Sammy Hagar when he was with them, or?
Mountain was Leslie West.
Or Leslie West. I'm thinking of Montrose.
And Leslie West played my Les Paul.
I don't know how I'm getting Montrose and Mountain mixed up, but.
And we played with Rare Earth, which was really great. Mother's Finest, the Atlanta Rhythm Section.
Played with one of the Van Zant boys.
Yes, Johnny Van Zant, right before he joined Skynyrd. Black Oak, Arkansas, just a lot of people, a lot.
So whenever you get up on stage, you get up with that kind of history behind you, having played in those crowds and arenas, so you kind of know how to work a crowd.
It was a thrill. It was great.
Now, I'm guessing the current incarnation you have of Rapture is the original members, or is it?
3 of the original members have passed away. Don, Slido, and Philip. Meldon, the drummer, is with another band. This band has Dennis Smith, who was legendary with Ambrose Wells and has been really with me 30 years. Off and on, and my son Jared playing drums. It's a stripped down version with pre-recorded keyboards, some acoustic guitars, just different things.
But with your connections, those pre-recorded, I'm guessing you probably have studio musicians that you've worked with to get that stuff.
Yeah, and we record a lot of stuff because we play keyboards, bass, guitar. Me and Dennis trade back and forth. Nobody plays the same thing all night long. It moves around. And
you guys are actually playing out now around town.
Yeah, we play Woolies Clubhouse. We play.
And whenever you guys play there, you also work in some of your original material?
Yes, we try to throw stuff in.
Okay, and you guys do have some songs worked up. In fact, we've got a couple that you've sent us that we have on the show, and I thought we might talk about those couple of songs tonight, kind of get a little bit of feel for where they come from. One that you're in the process of still putting together. I think we've got kind of an early start on it. I don't think you've got it finished the way you want. Do you ever really finish a song, though?
It's like art. Art is never finished. It's only abandoned. When you get to a certain point, it's like George Lucas going back and redoing all the Star Wars with the way he wanted things. And you can always... I have several different versions, like I guess I always will. There's 4 or 5 different versions.
Well, it's kind of like Jimmy Page is even still reworking the stuff for Led Zeppelin now. They're still reissuing it. So I wanted to talk about Rapture, though. This is not necessarily just named after your band, but...
It's sort of my spiritual side, that song, sort of trying to find an uplifting point, what I wish would happen, It's supposed to have a good, positive vibe, and all these songs are just me. Just me with my Pro Tools, computer, laptop, and playing all guitars, all vocals, all drums, all keyboards. The drums are kind of iffy. Drums are hard.
Yeah. But I tell you what, why don't we give them a listen to this song as we have it now? It is Rapture. With Rapture on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7 with Rapture in studio this week, or rather, to be more precise, Kenny Qualls, pretty much the driving force behind the band, the man who kind of started it all off. You've got, as we talked about earlier, you've got about 4 decades of music experience under your belt, and you've played with quite a few big names and seen quite a few changes over the landscape of music. Especially here in Cookeville, I'm guessing.
Definitely. I fought the disco wars back in the 80s.
Did you play disco?
Oh, no. No. But
well, hey, even Kiss cut a disco.
But
record.
I thought the disco wars. I hated at the time. I hated the 80s alternative. But now that it's 30 years later, the alternative and the hair and all that stuff, they fit together like family now. It's like, but at the time, Duran Duran was personal enemies.
Really?
Yeah, stuff like that. I just thought it took away from the rock, and but I've really
now
grown,
a little bit more respect
I've really
for what
grown
they
to
put
love
into
it, like
it.
"Ordinary World" by Duran Duran. One of the most greatest songs ever.
I will admit to being a closet fan of Duran Duran. Love a lot of their stuff. I love the side project they had, Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, great guitar work
Stray
in there.
Cats, the rockabilly stuff through rock and roll for a tizzy. Country music came in big with that Vince Gilly, the Gillies thing, and Urban Cowboy, and all that stuff. And then the hair metal came in the 80s, and it was fantastic.
Now, after seeing all these changes and having been through them, as you said at the time, you were kind of resistant. I think music does that. I think as soon as we get to where we think we're comfortable with something, there's a change that comes up, and there's resistance to that.
We always resisted it. We never played any of that stuff. We had a rock club, a true rock club here in Cookeville, in Livingston, called the Branding Iron. And we ruled, and the crowd, it was just fantastic. There was 200 or 300 people every Friday and Saturday night. It was incredible. We have New Year's Eve videos of how fantastic it was, and then that died out, which was very, very sad. Very sad when it went out. And it was big. Back then, we had lots of equipment, big trucks, big buses to haul all the stuff. Now everything is pared down, but very powerful. Like power amps are half the size and weight, 3 times more powerful. Speaker boxes are not as heavy to lug, smaller, but throw out more.
The music that you're putting together now, I want to kind of discuss that a little bit. In fact, we're going to come back and do that as we continue on with Kenny Qualls and Rapture on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7, having a conversation, well, kind of about musical history in Cookeville. I've got Kenny Qualls of Rapture in tonight, who has been on the music scene here in Cookeville for a pretty long time and has seen it change, seen the different bands come and go. And the one thing that I'm going to guess hasn't changed is the appreciation of what you're doing. The crowds, what have they been like over the years?
It comes and goes. It's kind of like the Beatles. John Lennon said they'd be in for 6 months, be out for 6 months. Sometimes it's gangbusters. Sometimes we play a club that wants country music, and they just really don't understand what we're doing. But
these days we have a lot of people that are just enamored with electronic devices, their phones. They're tied up on their computers. Basically,
right.
Their handsets of keeping them. Does that affect performances?
Well, you'll look out and you'll see somebody staring at their phone, doing texting and stuff, and you think, well, they better be texting people and telling them to get out here. But it's like Rob Zombie said the other night at the concert. He said, my idea of a good time is not holding up an iPod for 2 hours.
I had a friend of mine that went and checked out the Stones, and that was my advice to him was, dude, if you're going to take your phone, take about 2 or 3 pictures, kind of get a feel for the place, and then turn that thing off, put it in your pocket, man. You're never going to live this experience again. And if you're busy holding your phone,
really,
you are missing out on the experience of what's going on, because for you guys on stage, it's an experience too.
But I saw some great pictures people got from the Stones.
I'm not taking away from pictures. I mean, it's nice to see those moments being shared, but at the same time, if you're so busy sharing your life with everybody else, you're not really living it. So,
right.
Same goes with getting out and seeing bands locally. If you're spending your time on your phone, you're missing out on what these guys are bringing to the table. So, it's kind of a mixed crowd when you go in some places.
What happens with us is we have so much history that we do the 80s hairband tribute thing, and we put on the show. No matter what crowd we're playing for, we put on the show. We come out and do the AC/DC tribute. I put on the suits, we put on the hat, we do it right, we do the show. And then we throw in our originals. We do the other stuff that people want to hear. It's just all rock and roll. And to like Rapture, you have to like rock and roll.
How many original songs do you do when you guys go out?
I've got 20. There's 2 or 3 that are pretty much.
Now, do you have these recorded that they can get their hands on them, or
I have rough demos of 10 songs that I'm in the midst of putting on digital, putting to CD.
One of those songs we have, and I think you said earlier, there's like 5 versions of this.
I Guess I Always Will.
Guess I Always Will is a work in progress. As we talked about, you're never finished with your art, so.
Yes, it always has been. Been recorded in so many different places in so many different ways. Like I say, this version you have is me, only me. All drums, all bass, guitars, vocals, keyboards, sound effects, everything.
Original inspiration, where does it come from?
I woke up one morning in the springtime and it was just in my head. The song was just in my head, and I wrote like 10 songs. This was in an original band called Crag Rock that played only original. That's all we wanted to do. But as time went by, things happened and it fell apart.
And you got this song out of it.
I have several songs out of that. Several songs.
Why don't we share it with them? It's Guess I Always Will. It's Rapture. It's Kenny Qualls on the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7. It is the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7, having a conversation tonight with Kenny Qualls of Rapture, getting to know a little bit about what makes you tick as far as your band goes, and the experiences that you've had, quite numerous. You said you enjoyed a good run on the SEC circuit at one point in time, doing hairband tributes. Yes, it was great. It was fantastic. But after about 10 years, all the kids that grew up in the 80s had grown out of that. And the kids coming up had grown up in the grunge era, which we weren't really a part of. So it was kind of heartbreaking to leave that behind. And then I had to come back to like Cookeville, which I hadn't played a club around here in 10 years. Because I got so disgusted with the club scene, was just like dying. And then, but we started playing Woolies, and it really picked up. People really liked it. And I like to say Woolies is a great place. I like to say that Dennis in our band is awesome. He's fantastic. He plays bass, he plays keyboards, he plays guitar, fantastic, sings great. My boy Jared brings the youthful energy to the scene. He is into the more modern, very modern, alternative, heavy scene, and he has to kind of step back and rein it in to play our stuff. But it gives him an appreciation. It gives him a touch. Well, and you kind of appreciate that stuff, too. I think we were talking before the interview. You like what's happening with rock right now.
I try, yes, and I try not to get Jared or youthful players to not be their self. I try not to dim their enthusiasm. I try to, let it go, let it out. Yes, I love rock. If people could hear like the stuff you play on the 9 o'clock news, that stuff is great. There is great music being made. I don't know why it's sort of smothered.
I think it's hit or miss with some people. It's kind of tricky. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, we're on Facebook. We have a Rapture Facebook page. I'm on Reverb Nation. These songs are on there. I have my Kenny Qualls Facebook. We don't have an online Rapture site. It's the Facebook Rapture.
Well, most people just rely on that, or Reverb Nation's really good as far as...
You can always see where we're playing, what we're doing on Rapture on the Facebook page. And please join, give me input, message me, whatever.
All right, well, look for them online, and you're working on trying to get some of these songs put together, so some point hoping to have a full CD that you can just kind of go, here, check this out.
And more, yes.
Excellent. All right, well, I appreciate you coming in and talking with us tonight. It has been a great honor. Thank you, Kenny, for taking the time to sit down with us. I hope you get this together soon. We'd love to share some more of your songs. So
you'll be the first to hear.
All right, with the 9 o'clock news local edition on Rock 93.7.